You need maybe 10 minutes, 10 minutes of dancing, 10 minutes of just like moving around, goofing around in your room, 10 minutes of shaking your ass. Just in 10 minutes, you can put your body in a fantastic state. The words that we use generate a sensation in our bodies. So we need to focus on words that are uplifting, positive, that are actually generating a certain kind of emotion in ourselves and that are actually breaking the pattern. The words that we're going to choose actually shift our internal state. Welcome to Blisstopia podcast. I'm your host, Mercedes Castellani, life purpose coach, business owner, and your spiritual guide on all things mindset, manifestation, and purpose. This podcast is a space for deep reflections, meaningful conversations to help you expand your mind, dive into the depths of your soul, and create a life that makes you feel alive. Whether you're walking, driving, or simply vibing, take a deep breath and get ready to dive. Hello, my love. Welcome to another episode of Blisstopia podcast. I'm your host, Mercedes Castellani, and today we're going to be talking about the experience that I had in Germany with Tony Robbins. Tony Robbins is the father of the coaching industry. So, of course, I wanted to meet him in person, and I traveled 2 weeks ago to Germany for an event in person with him. This is the event that has changed thousands of lives. Many people, when they describe Tony Robbins, it's always like this before and after Tony Robbins. So I was really curious about meeting the legend, the guy, and actually having my own opinion on his teaching methods, the experience, and seeing if I too could have this pivotal moment in my life before and after. So I have decided to do 2 podcast episodes, part 1, part 2, and I'm going to be sharing the whole experience, how it works, what you actually do. It's a super intense experience. So I want to share all of the details with you so that in case you are interested about this, in case you ever want to try this for yourself, then you can know how it works. And also I want to share with you the biggest lessons so that you can learn from him without needing to go to the event. So I went to the thing, experienced the thing, distill the thing for you, and I'm bringing the most interesting concepts, ideas, experiences that he puts you through so that you can basically straight jump right into the learning, right into the key takeaways so that you can also enjoy this experience. So first, let me share with you how the whole thing works, because it is not your typical seminar. It's not like you go there and you're sitting, bored, learning, taking notes, then go home. It's not that. Definitely not that. So basically, this event took place in Germany, in Cologne, in the east of Germany. And it was an event for 4 days. And when we say 4 days, it's full days straight, non-stop, literally non-stop, from 8 a.m. until 8 p.m. or even 10 p.m. sometimes. So it was a really intense experience. I knew that this was going to be the case. I knew that it was 4 days, really intense 4 days, but I think until you go through the experience, you don't really know what that means. So basically, it was 4 intense days, non-stop from 8 a.m. until 8 p.m. or 9 or 10 p.m. And we were actually quite lucky because the arena where he was holding this event, that was an event for 13,000 people in an arena where normally they play sports or they have musicians coming to this arena. The guy managed to fill an entire arena with 13,000 people. Basically, the German arena was pushing him to do things under certain timings. So he was actually quite constrained by the German organizers, which was a very good thing for us. I was very grateful that the Germans were putting some stop into the madness. And basically, he was asking for more flexibility, but we were in Germany. So, of course, there was no flexibility. And that was just perfect. So basically, apparently, when he runs this thing in the US, They can run until 2 a.m. Imagine from 8 a.m. until 2 a.m. the next day. It's just wild. It's just really, really wild. So 4 days, extremely intense. There's no breaks to go and eat. There's no breaks to go to the loo. There's just no breaks. The thing is always there, always active. It's not always him because there's no way a person could do that for 4 straights. Even though back in the days when he was younger, because now he's 65, when he was younger, he used to run this thing for several days. But now he's 65, he still has a lot of energy. It's fantastic. Like I would love to have that energy when I'm 65. So he has a lot of energy, but still he needs to rest a little bit. And his voice, it's a little bit complicated sometimes. So he needs to rest. But you're in there for 4 days. And basically, his main message is that when you want to achieve something, when you want to do something, you need to put yourself first in a high state. So if you want to do something, for example, you want to call a prospect, or you want to have an interview, or you want to do whatever you want, take your business to the next level, launch a new thing, whatever it is, whatever goal you have in your mind, in your heart, you need to put yourself in a high energy state first and then do the. So this is basically his main message. If you have great energy, great state, you're going to have great results. If you have a poor energy, poor state, you're going to have poor results. So his main message is you need to be the master of your own state. How do you have an impact on your state? First of all, your physiology, moving your body. So basically, what they do during these 4 days is they teach you how to decide and put yourself in a beautiful state. So it's like, okay, I'm happy now. I'm celebrating now. I'm achieving this thing now. I can celebrate this is going to happen. So I can already start thinking, feeling, moving through my body how it's going to be when I actually get this thing. It's not about whether you will have or not have the thing. It's you will have the thing. So let's get your body celebrating as if it's happening right now. So basically, you're in there 4 days and you're like screaming and jumping. And it's just very, very intense, but it's also much fun. I don't recall the last time that I've had this much fun nonstop for 4 days. I went to Tomorrowland in 2024. I think I had more fun with Tony Robbins than in Tomorrowland, which is a lot to say, about Tony Robbins. We were jumping and dancing and hugging people and high-fiving people and screaming and shouting and dancing a little bit more and shaking our ass. It was just so much fun, so much fun. And he really pushes you to go and really have fun. It's not like you're faking, you're like pretending to have fun. No, 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 no. You're actually having fun. Your job is to have fun. Your job is to put your body in a high energy state so that from that place, you can start thinking about things, you can start creating things, you can start shifting things. But first is your state. So, how do you put yourself in what he calls a beautiful state? First, your physiology. You need to move your body, you need to jump, you need to scream, you need to do sports, but you don't need that much time actually. You need maybe 10 minutes. 10 minutes of dancing, 10 minutes of just like moving around, goofing around in your room, 10 minutes of shaking your ass. Just in 10 minutes, you can put your body in a fantastic state. And again, and it's not thinking about putting yourself in a high state, it's literally putting your body in a high state. So it's not from the emotion that you said, okay, now I'm going to feel fantastic. No, no, no. You start moving, your body actually feels fantastic. And then the emotions are going to come. So physiology, moving your body, it's the absolute first step. The second thing that you can think about to change your state is shift your focus. If there's something that you don't like and there's something that you like, then focus on the good things. Start stacking good things. You know, when usually you're having a bad day and you're like, oh my God, this happened, and then this happened, and then this happened, and then this happened. And we're basically stacking a pile of crap, basically. So what he says is, no, focus on the positive and actually start stacking all of the positive. And the positive things can be focusing on beautiful moments that you've had in the past. And I'm sure you've had fantastic moments, moments when you felt loved, moments when you felt successful, moments when you felt proud of yourself, moments when you felt a lot of love and romance, sexy moments, fun moments, moments of laughter. Remembering going back into the past and bringing the focus into those moments that were beautiful. And then from that state, you actually build a beautiful sensation of gratitude, of joy, of expansion, because you put the focus on all the beautiful things that you've had in the past, all the beautiful things that you have now in the present, and also all the beautiful things that you're going to have in the future. And sometimes in some of his meditations, you're actually mixing fantastic moments from the past and fantastic moments from the future and fantastic moments from the present, and you don't even know where you are. It's all just one fantastic thing, and you don't really know where it is. Is it the past? Is it the future? We don't care. Like, it's somewhere. So your physiology first, second, your focus, and then third, your language. The words that we use generate a sensation in our bodies. So we need to focus on words that are uplifting, positive, that are actually generating a certain kind of emotion in ourselves and that are actually breaking the pattern. So he gives the example that, for example, he used to get really pissed off very easily. He was quite prone to getting pissed off. He's very, very masculine, very, very testosterone driven. So it's kind of like makes sense that he used to get really pissed off often. So basically, he was saying that he would get pissed off very quickly. And basically, he has 114 companies, which is crazy. He has 114 companies. So if he's going to get pissed off about what people are doing wrong in his companies, he's going to be pissed off every day, all day, every day. Because with 114 companies, there are really high chances that someone is somewhere along the lines really making a mistake that they shouldn't be making. So he was getting really pissed off and he was like, oh my God, I'm so hungry, la la la. And then he decided to change the word, change his language. And he started saying, oh my God, that is so entertaining. That is so fun what you're doing. Instead of saying, that is pissing me off, that is terrible. He was like, oh, that is so entertaining. That is so fun. So the words that we're going to choose actually shift our internal state. So his whole premise is around this message of master your state, and then you're going to master your life. And also this idea that you can put yourself in these states with a decision. You don't need to wait for hours to change your state. You don't need to do a 30 minutes meditation to change your state. It doesn't need to be this long thing. You could be feeling an emotion, something could be happening, and you can decide right there and then in that minute, in that second, to actually change the state in which you're in. So this is the main message. High states, great results. Low states, low results. So this is what they are actually kind of like training you for during 4 days. So basically they teach you that you're dancing the whole time, you're screaming the whole time, you're celebrating celebrating the whole time. You are just jumping around, having so much fun, man. You should have seen me. I was like shaking my ass as if it was the end of the world. I was dancing with my hair as if it was the end of the world. We had so much fun, so much fun. And at some point I had this realization when I was having this much fun, I thought to myself, I think I've been waiting for this my whole life. I think I've been waiting for this level of fun my whole life. And I realized that when I was a child, I was a kid with a lot of energy. I was not an easy child, not an easy girl, because I had a lot of energy. So I was always running around and doing things and learning things, just doing some things that maybe I shouldn't be doing, but I had a lot of energy. I've always been a child, a little girl with a lot of energy. And then somewhere along the lines, basically when I went to school when I was 6, it was like, whoa, whoa, whoa. Like, this is too much. You need to calm down. You need to kind of like, I was like a wild horse, And then I had to pull and kind of like stop the horse. And then I think I put all of that energy, all of that vital energy, creative energy, physical energy. I think I put all of that energy into, okay, I need to learn. I need to be a good student. I need to get good grades. I need to achieve. And I put all of this energy that has always been there into my grades, being a good student, etc. But I think I've lived a life in which my energy has always been kind of like tamed down. So normally I have a high energy. Every time I'm in a room, people can tell like what's up with this lady. There's something about her. People can tell something's up. Usually when I'm around people, I'm uplifting their energy. But it's usually, I would say that my energy is usually like a 10, or used to be before Tony Robbins, used to be an 8 out of 10. So quite high energy. If you think that normal people, normally their energy is around 5, 6, in a bad day, 2, 3, in a good day, 6, 7. But I'm usually the one who's like uplifting the energy in a group. Not the only one, luckily. There's fantastic people with fantastic energy. But usually I'm the one or one of the ones that are uplifting the energy of the group. And basically what I realized when I was having this much fun and I was just like wild, untamed, just having fun. It wasn't something crazy. We were just dancing, screaming, laughing, shaking. Like, it was nothing crazy, but it was so much fun. And I realized, you know what? This is who I've always been. This is my energy. This is my actual energy. Before school, my parents had an impact on me, and I had to squeeze down that energy, tame down that energy, so that it would be convenient for other people. Because the 10 out of 10 energy, it's loud, it's crazy, it's could be a little bit unpredictable, but it's also so much fun, so much fun. So basically, I realized, you know what? This is who I've always been, the 10 out of 10. And I commit to bringing more of this energy into my everyday life, really allowing myself to be the 10 out of 10 that I've always been and have this extremely high energy. And it's not convenient. It's, loud, it's big, it's going to make noises. You're going to see it. Maybe you're going to like it. Maybe you're not going to like it. But this is what it is. This is who I am. So I was there having so much fun, really like connecting with, I don't want to say like my inner child, but connecting with who I really am. And who I really am is just a ball of light, fun, joy, and love. So I think in the past years, I have let all of that love be around me. But I think I haven't let that joy, that fun, that excitement be all out all the time. So I made the commitment during Tony Robbins to really live in that beautiful state that for me, and this is very specific for every person, but for me, I define it as ecstasy, excitement, joy, just being alive, just realizing that we are alive, that we have one more day on earth, and not taking it for granted, not taking for granted our bodies, not taking for granted our lives not taken for granted, our loved ones. And I was also thinking while I was in the midst of all of this really, really high energy, I was thinking about this phrase, we have two lives, and the second one starts the moment you realize that you have one. So we have two lives, and the second one starts the moment you realize you only have one. And I think that was also the feeling that I got during Tony Robbins. That was like, I am alive. I'm fully, properly alive. And this is just fantastic. Just fantastic. These were things that I knew, from Buddhism. It's not a new idea. It's not a new concept. I knew from Buddhism, okay, we only have this life. We are alive. We need to be grateful, but then being there and actually feeling alive and actually crying of gratitude with all of the beautiful things that I have in my life right now, really sitting and really appreciating everything. My mom being alive, I have a fantastic fiance, I have Amore with me, my business is fantastic, I have fantastic clients, my brother and my sister are living with me in Paris. So many things, so many things all at the same time, feeling all of those blessings in my heart. I was like, yes, I'm alive. I'm alive. So that has been absolutely fantastic. And what's interesting for me is this idea that you can change your state fast, this fast. You don't need to wait 30 minutes, a couple of hours. You don't need to wait to change your state. You can decide and change your state now. So that idea was very interesting. And also the fact that we felt all of these things in our bodies. It's not just, okay, this is the idea, you need to change your state, blah, 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 blah. We've literally felt these things in our bodies. Now, the second thing that was also very interesting is that he talked about his target, the type of people that he attracts, basically. So the room was full of high achievers, really fun, really cool people, really ambitious people. So he said at some point that he started thinking, what did all of the successful people that he knows have in common? Because he's been the coach for really big names like Mother Teresa, Nelson Mandela, Lady D. He's been the coach for Serena Williams. He's been the coach for Michael Jordan, Usher, the musician, so many other, Bill Clinton, so many other big names in the spheres of politics, in the spheres of business, athletes, artists, really different people from walks of life. And he's really supported these big names. So he's met some incredible people along the journey, and he started asking himself, what is the one trait that all of these successful people have in common? And he found that it was hunger for more, hunger for better, ambition, this hunger. Even people who, they're doing fantastic things and they have changed the world in their own field. Imagine an athlete, or imagine a business person, a businessman, a businesswoman. They are already doing fantastic, but they're still hungry. They still want more. And I think it was also this permission to fully own the hunger that I've always had. I've always been a very ambitious woman. I've always been a very determined woman, but just having a person really put phrases into things that I hadn't been able to put words and phrases to, it was quite eye-opening. And basically, what was interesting also, at some point, we did he counted basically how many people were business owners and how many people had a job. And 70% of the people who attended the event were business owners. 30% had their own job, had a job. So very interesting to see this group of high achievers, really ambitious people, really hungry people, ready for more, ready to become a better version of themselves, to be more and to do more and to achieve more. And it was just fantastic to be in such a crowd and to meet fantastic people doing fantastic things with their own businesses. And it was just really, really inspiring. I met fantastic people from different walks of life, different countries, different stages in life with their business, taking a sabbatical to figure out what the fuck they want to do, starting business. So it was super, super interesting. Basically, he said that he talked about the achiever's curse. And basically, the achiever's curse is that when we talk about focus, you can always focus on what you have or what you're missing, and then decide to be grateful for what you have or ungrateful for what's missing. You can focus on what you can control or what you can't control. And you can focus in the past, in the present, or in the future. And he was saying that high achievers always focus on what they're missing, what they can control, and the future. And basically, that's like, it's like the recipe for not being happy, basically, because if you're always focusing on what's missing, you're not really being grateful and enjoying what's there. And then if you're always focused in the future, well, you're not paying attention to the present while the present is actually there. So he was saying that ideally we want to focus on what we have now, cultivate that deep, extreme gratitude, focus on what we can control, and then focus on the present. So if you are a high achiever, and I imagine you are if you're listening to this podcast, welcome to the club, girl. But we need to start focusing on what we have, what you can control, and focusing on the present. Because then otherwise it's this never-ending thing. And many people talk about this, how they set a goal, and I've also experienced this, how you set a goal, and the moment you reach that goal, you've actually moved the goal, and now it's another thing, and you don't even celebrate that you actually got that first goal in the first place, because now you're focused on the second goal. And if we're not careful, we can do this our whole lives. We could be focusing on one goal, we get it, we move the goalpost, we are always fighting for that second goal. The moment we get the second goal, we don't even celebrate, and we move to the third one. And it's just like this never-ending race that, frankly, yes, you're going to achieve a bunch of things, but you're going to be so unhappy all along. So I'd rather focus on the process, the journey, the becoming the version who achieves this goal naturally, focusing on the journey, focusing on what you have along the journey, focusing on what you can control, focusing on the present. And then when you get there, celebrate every step of the journey, actually, because we wait until we get the thing to celebrate. And then when we get the thing, we're like, okay, next. Whereas if we are present during the whole journey, we are focused on what we have during the whole journey, we're celebrating during the whole journey is much, much more fun. So I'm going to leave it there. Of course, 4 days, we've seen a lot of content, but that's why I've decided to do part 1, part 2, so that the concepts are easy to digest and that you can actually listen to this episode and be like, okay, let's start implementing some things. Let's put some things in motion. So we've talked about 2 things today. We've talked about managing your state. So this is something that you can start implementing in your day-to-day. Wake up in the morning, you do your meditation, and then add a practice into your day. In my case, for example, is dancing alone in the kitchen for 10 minutes. So you have those 10 minutes where you're putting your body, your physiology in a high state. So you start your day feeling fantastic, literally feeling in your bones, in your body, fantastic. So you can already start implementing that. And then we've talked about being a high achiever and having the high achiever's curse. So let's do the opposite of that. Maybe this week focus on what you have, on what you can control, and focus more on the present so that you can enjoy and celebrate every step of the journey towards your goals. You're going to get your goal because we all know you're clever, you're determined, you're creative, you're going to get your goal. So might as well enjoy the whole journey and celebrate the whole journey. I hope you enjoyed this episode. I'm going to do part 2. So tune in next week for part 2, where I'm going to be sharing the fire walk that we did. And I'm going to be sharing as well all the other concepts that we learned with Tony Robbins. So this one was more about the experience, what we actually did, how it works. Next week, I'm going to talk a lot more heavily on concepts that he teaches and also on the firewalk ceremony. Oh my God, I walked on fire. See you next week to share everything with you about the firewalk experience. I walked on fire. Don't even get me started. See you next week, where I'm going to be sharing all of the details of that crazy experience. See you next week in the next episode. And in the meantime, in Blisstopia we trust.